This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
Welcome back, everybody. I don't have to say this, but I am going to. It's tough being a parent. It's always been tough being a parent. It's tougher now more than ever because of society, culture, social media. I'm not beating on social media at all, but it adds to the challenges for us parents. And sometimes we don't know where to turn when our kids are dealing with challenges. We're dealing with them as well. I found somebody, and she is a transformational coach, specifically a parent transformational coach. And she's also a parent mastery coach. So she can work you along the way to help support your children and on the back end support yourself. So great to have her with us. Gerry Garcia joins us on the program today. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Doing great.
Where were you when I needed you? I mean, my kids now, my youngest are 17 and 19. So there's still challenges, don't get me wrong. But the bulk of the challenges, yeah, I would have to say probably would have been, 11, 12, 13. But then there's challenges when they're younger. What do you hear from parents? What are they telling you right now?
Well, I've trained every kind of parent you can imagine. What they want is specific skills. They want a very empowering mindset. To be an effective parent, first of all, you got to believe in your kids. You got to give them unconditional love. But you also have to teach them a mental toughness. And that goes like, I know you can do it. Kids need parents that believe in them. And I mean strongly. Parents need to be strong advocates at the school when kids have issues with teachers or principals, every authority figure. I think the skill is to love them, but also say, I can do it. You need to respect your teachers. You need to do your homework quickly, get the homework done, no procrastination. And you need to build in them a belief that they can do anything with God's help. I think I was a mother of 5 in rural Kentucky. My husband was tough, but he believed in them. And I think together as a partnership, we told them they could do anything they could achieve with high work ethic. I know you can do it no matter what, and we'll be there to support you. And that basically said you can do it. Me as a woman coach, I think what I do well is nurture parents. I run them through an affirmation program so they know they can think well of themselves. Even in the most difficult challenges, there's always hope. And I think you have to plant that seed in the child's mind early. You were born for greatness. You were born to be good. You were born to cooperate in your school or with coworkers or with peer groups or whatever group they're in. To be positive thinking. I think what we taught our kids, think the best, even if they're in the worst. And I think probably as a mother and trainer, I've been gifted in how to plant that good seed.
And Gerry, what would you say to a parent that comes before you and they're dealing with, let's say, bullying? It's so prevalent now. And let's say there's a situation going on. Parents not totally sure how to deal with it, whether to confront the parents of the child that's bullying their child. What would your advice be?
Well, first of all, I'd partner with them. I do home visits with teenagers that have been bullied. What I do, I partner with the parent And then usually we problem solve. I'm going to open up a whole lot of questions as to who did what, how did they do it. And then if it takes further action, we're going to go to school. We're going to ask for a meeting. We're going to address it to the teachers that may be aware of those relationships. And we're going to advocate. And then probably with my skill sets, I would probably negotiate. In other words, I'd sit the other family down with the family that's been injured from the bullying, and I would ask them, how can we change it? How can we improve it? Because in every bully relationship, there's somebody that's going to get hurt. Their emotions are going to be wounded. And what you have to do at that point is brainstorming. You have to open up new questions, open up new feelings. And then with brainstorming, usually, at least from my experience, when there's problem solving taking place, what can we do differently? Because the transformational part of my training came from doing the alternative. In other words, if this doesn't work, what else can we do differently? When you open up that differently, that opens up a new way to negotiate and bring healing out of the injury. And I don't know of a teacher out there, I don't know of a principal out there, I don't know a superintendent out there does not want to know the skill sets for eliminating bully behavior. Bullies need counseling, they need coaching as well. So I've done a little bit of everything, but the main thing is to give strength to the child or teenager that has been bullied. You want to go in there and listen deeply, because a lot of the teenagers hide it. They're embarrassed over it. They don't want to talk to their peers. Sometimes they're embarrassed to talk to the parents. So what I do there, I usually train the parents as to how to open up. I use open-ended questioning, and usually from that, can I help you? Is there anything going at school that you'd like to talk about? Now, typically, this is the average teenager. They're saying, no, mom, no, dad, but in reality, they are. So the skill is to get better listening, listen intently. If you ask them and it's going on at school, usually with good, solid training, they'll begin to open up, mainly because the kids want help. They've been hurt, nobody's addressed it. Depending on, some peers will step in if they see it going on. That will be your courageous peer. The courageous one is always the one that will open things up. Oh, by the way, how's it going at school now? You're going to use open-ended questions. Is there anybody at school is giving you maybe a hard time? So you got to open them up. Now, when you do that, the conscience of the child, whatever age group, I've had them at age 4, I've had them in middle school, I've had them in high school. At that point, if that child has deeply been picked on by any type of bully, it could be either gender, eventually they're going to say something. And at that point, you want to be right there with them to hear them out. Because the very essence of them being heard is healing. They need to have somebody that will be there for them and will be kind-hearted and listen to what has happened to them. And then if you can, then you'll advocate at that point. But kids need somebody they can really have someone that would just stand by and just listen.
You said something before, 2 words, and I've never heard anybody use those words as a parental coach: problem solving. I find that fascinating. Yeah, because we have challenges, we need to solve them. So I love your approach, and I believe that many parents don't realize that this stuff pilots their children as adults. And I take it my own experience. I was bullied a lot as a kid. I was a fat kid, and then I got picked for dodgeball, all of that. And my parents got divorced when I was very young. And that held me back later in life until I dealt with it. But I find that many parents don't realize what's going on there when your child is dealing with a situation that it's going to affect them later in life. It's been proven. It goes into the subconscious. They have certain beliefs or limiting beliefs, and that's why we need to deal with this now and work them through it.
Well, you're totally right. Everything is about problem solving. When you open, I think I was a therapist. My skill as a therapist was I was trained into how to open up people so that we could get to the root of the problem. When you go to the source of the problem, that's where you begin. And kids need somebody who's their confidant, who will truly listen. Now, I've seen peers that I've worked with in schools where you get a good peer and say, oh, by the way, is that kid doing that to you? They'll see it. And they'll take the kid over and say, by the way, do you need any help? See, those kinds of questions are healing questions. They're giving the child someone that will actually care enough to really hear them out. Now, when that happens, there's validation in that person. That person feels validated as a human being. And then from there, you can build more as to how they will confront. See, they don't want to take a victim stance. We want to bring them over to being a victor out of the victim stance. So my coaching brings them to high elevation of self-worth. See, a person high self-worth, they're going to say, you know what? I'm not going to listen to what you just said about me because it's not truth. And when we go into what is actual truth of any situation, that's a false label. See, and kids internalize that. But if you tell them, no, I don't need to accept that. That's not what's truthful about me. I know I'm a better person than someone taking me aside and telling me false things. Well, then we're going in the area of truth. And truth builds. So when we build the person up, we're going in, what is the truth? The truth is that's not true what that person said about you. See, the bully picks on innocent people typically, those that they can intimidate, but the bully himself or herself has been wounded also.
Oh, absolutely. And there's something that people don't realize. Hurt people hurt people. I know it's a phrase, but it's so true.
It's very true. So what you have to do in the big view of universal love, you have to have compassion for everyone. When I work with bullied families, I have to be very intuitive of my words and what I can say to them because somebody has bullied them. Typically, bully begets bully. In my history of working with kids that have been bullied, usually someone else has bullied them. They learn from that bullying pattern and they carry it on. Or somebody has abused them and they carry on the abuse to someone else.
Sure.
It's a learned behavior.
Oh,
and we know
that you've hit the secret to all of this. And even relationships, parents get divorced. Well, I guarantee there's something in their childhood that probably made that happen or pushed in that direction, feeling comfortable in relationships and all of that. And it goes back to the childhood, and that's why we need to deal with that. Gerry, can you tell us what got you to this point where you're helping parents?
Well, it's a long journey. I married a bully in rural Kentucky. I was bullied 26 years. But the bully taught me much. The bully taught me boldness. And after I had gotten 2 masters in the state of Kentucky, I was continually bullied with my 5 children in the home. There came a time when I said no more. Well, that happened. I ran away from the bully Came back the next year, he started up again. Well, this time I pushed back. And when I did, because there was an evilness to it, it was destructiveness to it. Bullies can destroy people. Bullies can intimidate people to such extent that their self-worth will never be used properly. Well, I had been through a lot, but I got to the point, I said, no more. Now, when I did, I stood up. And when I did, I'll just say this, the angels were with me. And when that day happened, I was totally transformed into a very strong woman that eventually moved to California and then went into therapy and then went into national parent coaching. But the courage from that incident transformed me so deeply that I said to myself, I will never be abused. I will never be bullied. And this woman will stand up to it.
Wow.
And when I did, like I said, the angels were there right with me. And I have been that way ever since. Courage came into me deeply. And the same man that bullied me taught me 26 years, be of courage, of sound mind, and no timidity. So when I got to California, my boss didn't know what to do with me. She said, Gerry, you're fearless. And I was. Because when you go through something that deep-seated, you either rise up and you really take heed to you as a human being and what self-worth is about. And at that point, I became victorious.
You know, a lot of people might not look at it that way. And you said, even after almost 3 decades, that you learned something. You learned from it. Do you believe there's a lesson in everything?
Oh, I do. I actually went back and forgave that man. He was two-sided. There was a side that taught courage. There was a side that was fearless. Bullies have strengths. Bullies don't back down easily. But bullies have been bullied. He had been bullied by his father. I didn't know that till years later. And then I understood. And then I saw his goodness. You know, I said, you taught me how to stand up. You taught me to be fearless. And in those days, a woman like that, that was kind of a rarity. But I gained assertion skills. I gained a voice. It made me spiritually very deep-seated and compassionate for others that had walked the same path. That's why I can teach it, because I've walked it. And when you walk it, you understand it.
Now, some may say that it went on for a long time. Like, Gerry, how come you didn't deal with it, after 10 years, et cetera, et cetera? And nobody can judge anybody else. But do you feel that you and many of us in similar situations make that our norm? We think, well, that's the way it is. It's just life. I'm just going to, do another day, do another day. Another day is 10 years. Another day is 20 years and such. We're all creatures of habit. Do you believe that we just kind of get used to it?
Well, when I became transformational in California, a transformational coach has to go in deep and they have to study the soul. And I'd had so much extensive training in California that I had to realize to be abused is not normal. See, I had to get out of that way of thinking. And so I got with better people and they began to show me that being good to yourself is very honorable. You got to love yourself before you can give to others. And from all that, I just studied diligently from tremendous leaders. I realized that once you go through something like that, it either makes you strong or weak. For me, it made me extremely strong. The high self-worth came. The being successful came. Um, I was taught you are what you believeth. Well, I was taught good things too by that person. So I took the good and, like the farm people would say, shut off the tar, shut off the weeds, but take the good. Well, that's what I did.
Yeah. And you said the G word before. Um, well, gratitude, but also the F word, forgiveness. You forgave. And not easy. I get it.
Well, that wasn't easy. It took me
Yep.
9 years to do it.
Thank you for sharing that. I mean, many of us
Yeah.
are in that journey.
Yeah.
And it's not, we don't condone what somebody else has done. We're doing it for ourselves. But would you say that that was one of the most impactful things you did as part of your healing from that situation?
I have to say, the very man that did that to me was one of a great man too. He was going to be a doctor. He was very strong-willed. He taught me. He gave me strength. What I say to that, there's twofold in every human being. And what you got to do is extrapolate the strong, take the strength, discard the weak, and then forgive.
Hmm.
And that's what I've done.
Powerful.
And yeah.
How can somebody, if they're a parent and they're going through challenges with their children or child, I got to believe no parent is ever going to say, well, I've never had any issues with my kid. It's just that would be the same person that says, my family has no issues whatsoever. All of us, every single one of us, everything's great. We get along. You're not being honest. Come on.
Yeah.
How do we connect with you, Gerry? If somebody wants to start a conversation, maybe help themselves and their children, how do they do that?
Would just contact me, or they can call me. I now live in California. They can call me by my cell number, or they can get on my email address and email me. But I'll be glad to listen to anyone.
And what number do we reach at?
That number is 661-332-9204.
661-332-9204. And your email address?
It's Coach Gerry 12@yahoo.com.
Thank you for all the insight today, Gerry, and your transparency in your journey. What it shows is how when you're intentional and you look at the positive in your life, you can move it forward. And so many of us are, we're addicted to suffering. And that could even be a parent, whatever the situation may be. But I appreciate all the insight. And again, phone number 661-332-9204. Thank you for being with us today, Gerry.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it. We'll be right back.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.